Hello, my name is Adriana Garcia, and for this alcohol PSA assignment, I decided to focus on the year 2017. Just to give you a brief feedback of what's going on, basically, there's various natural disasters occurring, hurricanes, for example, the ones that have hit Houston, Florida, and part of Central America. Also, we do have President Trump in the office. There's been a quiet protest and debate of whether he is making proper decisions while he is in office. That has probably led to what has happened in the riots in Charlottesville. There have been a lot of incidents, a lot of riots that have led to injuries and deaths of individuals. There is also the DACA that has been taken out, and that is basically a funding and organization to help those immigrants to stay in school and pursue their careers. However, President Trump has decided that that is no longer going to be available to him. So there was quite a bit of conflict of how these immigrants were going to, have to go back to their country that they didn't know since they were young, because they left to, get better jobs, get better education, have a better life than what they had in their home country. There is also, when it relates to this topic of alcohol, is fraternities, colleges, universities. For example, Penn State is having an issue of one of their fraternity houses about they didn't report an incident that somebody had severe alcohol and had an incident inside the fraternity. They didn't report it, and he suffered from various injuries. Also, last year and a couple of months ago, they had the same incident, as well as other fraternities aren't reporting their incidents that come from alcohol, as well as other drugs, because they are too scared, because more than likely everybody in that party is underage. So this kind of correlates into what I'm going to be talking about with alcohol and how it affects social, economic, contextual issues. As well, I'm going to be talking about at least three pharmacological factors that alcohol has an effect to. So to get started on the social factors that alcohol can affect is mental and psychological issues. Mental, because due to the extent of use that they have from alcohol, it decreases of what they can do out in society. They may not be able to function to drive a car. They may not be able to function their daily lives as to wake up, eat, get to work, get to school, or if they have children, what are they going to function with that? So this kind of leads into they're drinking more so often, then it just increases the dosage after that. And it also affects like the mood, the stability that they're in for the days that they are drinking. This kind of, they lack in society. They're not in as close range to their family anymore. They're not communicating efficiently, which leads into depression. And then from there, it can lead to suicidal thoughts or even suicide to this point for that individual. Economic factors is basically, for the companies that do sell alcohol, it would increase in benefits for them. However, this is taking money out of people's pockets. People are robbing just to get money. That way they can buy alcohol, and which will lead to more severe injuries, damages. Say somebody's robbing and they pull a gun on them, and then incidents occur that, in general, were not supposed to occur, because if they weren't robbing that store to, feed their addiction, this wouldn't have happened. More on the contextual factors, like alcohol is basically the norm, you can say, is to where you grew up in. People usually say, oh, well, I've had a long day at work, or I've had a long day at school, at least one or two won't hurt. But then it just increases, they're not satisfied with the one or two that they have. So then they have to increase, as well as schools, high schools, friends get together, at a party, and then an older brother, an older sister, maybe even a parent, parents sometimes, for their kids to have fun. Hey, they're doing it at home. It's not an issue. They're not going anywhere. We'll allow the child to consume alcohol, and, friends can consume alcohol. There are some cases where there is not enough supervision, and these, children go out and then they get into car accidents, they get tickets, they may get injuries, they may not be doing what they're not supposed to be doing, and so then it falls back to their parents because they allowed them to. There's also a contextual factor of the availability of alcohol, since it is a norm, since it is allowed. The availability is basically everywhere. You can now go into a grocery store instead of having to make a 30-minute or an hour drive into an outside area. Grocery stores are now making it available. Although it's not hard. Liquor, there is still some that, has some high percentage that you can abuse of. So this now falls into the pharmacological factors of what alcohol use, and if you abuse of it, it can have. One of them is the loss of critical judgment, memory, and comprehension. The intake of alcohol that you keep intaking, you lose critical judgment, you lose memory, you lose where you put things, you lose what you're doing, and the ability to comprehend things at a fast pace as you would if you were sober. This can lead to, per se, you have alcohol in your system and you drive. You don't have that critical judgment as fast, or, your memory is like, where am I going? Like, what lane do I stay? What's red and what's green? It's not there. That also leads to this sense of motor coordination. How do you stay on a steering wheel if, you're completely intoxicated? You don't have like an automatic machine in the car that will help you drive. Also, well, it falls into the disturbances of vision, perception, and motion. You basically have blurry vision at this point with the consumption of alcohol. It also depends on like the weight and the size of the person. But alcohol in general, you could lose, coordination, vision. You start to feel dizzy due to the amount that you have intaken, which can lead to various incidents, various injuries, that you can make personally, but that also if you get into a fight with somebody at a bar or at a school or at a party, you're not going to have, the stability, the mental state that you were in if you were sober. So alcohol does have an effect of not only for your body, but more so for your brain and the comprehension and the critical judgments that you can make, the perceptions and the tasks that you are able to do, which can lead to incidents. Alcohol has been a big issue, not only with adults, but now as teens can consume it in high schools and universities. They are not of legal age, but somehow they find ways to consume this alcohol, and they're not realizing the effect that it can have. They are exposing themselves at a younger age, and they're not realizing what the degree of danger that they can get themselves into. So this falls into the following section of what I would like to talk about for PSA PowerPoint. So basically, I just want you to picture yourself in one of these 5 pictures. Whether you have a family, whether you are a child, you're a young teen in the middle, whether you're in a university, just graduated, or whether you're getting married. So picture yourself in one of these 5 pictures. Now, you decide to go out and drink with a friend, with a colleague, with a family member, and you've had one too many because you did not limit yourself, or maybe you did, but your body is not absorbing it correctly. So once that happens, you fall under these 3 categories. 1, you get into a severe car accident, and as the first picture is listed above, the body, you can see there it's like decapitated. Various injuries. There may also be another person in the vehicle. The second picture is you causing another injury to another person. What if that other person has a child in the back seat, has a newborn, has a mother, a grandmother, and they're placed as, you could be placed in that first picture that I had mentioned above. What would you feel in that moment? Would you feel like the guy in the middle who is like, you are now going to be charged because you injured people, you may have killed them, you caused them severe bodily injury because you decided not to be smart about it and you decided to consume more alcohol than you have should, And on the third picture, you see a police car. You see the damage that you have done. You may have not only done it to one vehicle, but you could have done it to various vehicles, various persons. So at this point, there's a cop car, and you have to realize that you're not only intoxicated, but you caused a big incident. Now you are under arrest. So these are 3 images in 3 different places in which you could picture yourself of what would happen if you consumed this alcohol and you decided to drive. Now, by making that choice of what you pictured, you can end in a casket, or your family members can end in a casket, strangers can end in a casket, and that is something that you have to carry for as long as it permits, probably as long as that's your life, or after you go to counseling, it's still going to be there. You're still going to be a cause of that. So with all those pictures that you have, imagined yourself in that situation, it can lead to that. It can lead to death. And that is something that is not acceptable. That's not going to be acceptable for you because you have that conscience. You don't want to have that image. You want to have that image of what's on the first picture. You want to have that image of you went out, you limited yourself, you took a taxi, you had a designated driver, and you went home. You want to go home to your family. You want to go home to your children. You want to go back to your university, pursuing your degree, and you don't want to have that second image in your mind because one action, one mistake can lead into another, and that is something that you did not want. You had not wanted for yourself. So to end that, there is a quote which is, "The driver is safer when the roads are dry. The roads are safer when the driver is dry." So just think about the images that I placed in front of you with the different scenarios. It is your option of what scenario you decide to place yourself, whether it's, getting arrested, causing your own death, or causing the death of others. Or you can decide to be smart and stay happy and pursue your goals.